You won't believe what happened to me the other day. I was driving home when this guy in what looked like a police uniform suddenly pulled me over. But here's the kicker. He wasn't a real cop. Nope, it was a fake HOA cop trying to flex some authority that he didn't have. And guess what? I'm actually the sheriff in this story. Yeah, things got real quick, and I knew exactly how to handle it. This wasn't just some harmless misunderstanding. It was someone pretending to have power they never earned, and that's when things started to get tense. I want you to imagine the confusion and the shock. A fake officer trying to stop me, the sheriff, like I was just some ordinary driver. The whole situation felt like something straight out of a movie, and trust me, it wasn't pretty. There's a lot to unpack here about authority, respect, and what happens when people overstep their boundaries. But I can't give away everything just yet. Stay with me because in the next part, I'll tell you exactly what went down when I confronted him and how this fake cop tried to backtrack. You're not going to want to miss the surprising twists that followed. This story's far from over. So here's where things started to get weird. I noticed the vehicle trying to pull me over wasn't marked. No lights, no sirens, nothing official about it. Just a beat-up SUV with a magnetic badge slapped on the side that said, Neighborhood Patrol. The guy inside had a vest on, sunglasses, and this real smug look like he thought he was running the whole street. He walked up to my window, like he was about to write me a ticket or something, acting like he was some kind of law enforcement officer. Now, I've seen a lot in my time as a sheriff, but this was bold, pretending to be a cop in broad daylight. That's not just crossing the line, that's erasing it. He started going off about some supposed HOA rule I had broken, talking about how I was going too fast near the clubhouse. But there's a big problem with that. I don't even live in that neighborhood. I was just passing through. I stayed calm, didn't flash my badge right away, just let him keep talking. The more he spoke, the more obvious it became that he had no idea who he was messing with. But I still had questions. Who was this guy? Why was he really doing this? And just how far was he willing to go? As he kept rambling about HOA speed limits and community safety patrols, I noticed something strange. His radio wasn't even on. No backup, no communication, not even a fake call-in. Just static and a lot of bluff. That's when I started to get the feeling this wasn't just someone playing dress-up. This guy believed his role. He had this false confidence like he'd done this before, maybe even gotten away with it. That's when I started wondering, was I the first person he tried this on, or just the first one who didn't fall for it? He started asking for my license and registration, but I still hadn't told him who I was. I asked him what department he was with. He said Community Enforcement Division, but there's no such thing, not officially anyway. My gut told me there was more to this. Maybe he had a grudge, or maybe he was trying to feel powerful in a world where he didn't have control. Either way, it wasn't just about a fake badge or a made-up rule anymore. It was deeper. While all this was happening, a couple of neighbors started watching from their driveways. One even pulled out a phone and started recording. That only seemed to make him more agitated. I could feel the situation getting ready to explode, but I still wasn't sure how far this fake cop was willing to push it. At this point, the air was thick with tension. The so-called HOA officer was getting louder, trying to control the situation, but you could see it in his eyes. He was starting to panic. His voice cracked slightly when he said, "You need to comply, or I'll have to escalate this." Escalate. That word hit differently coming from someone who wasn't even legit. The neighbors were inching closer now, whispering, phones up, probably wondering the same thing I was. Who was this guy, and what was he really after? I slowly reached into my wallet, not for my ID, but for my badge. But I didn't flash it yet. Instead, I asked one last time, "What's your name and badge number?" He hesitated. His answer didn't come right away. That pause told me everything. This wasn't just a case of someone confused about their role. This man knew he wasn't supposed to be doing this. But instead of backing down, he doubled down. He took a step closer to my window and dropped his hand near his belt like he was reaching for something. though there was nothing there. I locked eyes with him. This wasn't just impersonation anymore. It was a power play. He was trying to bluff his way into authority right there in front of witnesses, and I had to decide, was this the moment to shut it down, or let him dig the hole even deeper? Just when I thought the situation couldn't get any stranger, a black sedan pulled up behind us. Out stepped a woman in business casual clothes, holding a clipboard and wearing a badge lanyard that said HOA Compliance Officer. She walked straight toward the fake cop like they knew each other. That's when it hit me. He wasn't acting alone. This was bigger than one guy playing pretend. Whatever was going on here, it looked coordinated, maybe even organized. The woman gave me a tight smile and said, "Is there a problem here, sir?" Calm, polite, but something about her tone felt rehearsed. She glanced at the neighbors watching and added, "We're just conducting routine neighborhood checks." Routine checks. That's not something any real HOA has the legal power to do on public roads. I knew they were trying to put on a show, trying to make me look like the unreasonable one while they played official. But here's where the stakes jumped. I recognized her name from a report we'd gotten at the sheriff's office just 2 weeks earlier. Complaints about HOA harassment, intimidation, even threats of fines for things like parking direction and lawn color. This wasn't a one-time thing, it was a pattern, and now I was in the middle of it. I hadn't even shown my badge yet, and they still didn't know who I was. I looked at both of them, the fake cop still trying to stand tall, and the HOA woman pretending like this was all part of some harmless neighborhood duty. That's when I calmly pulled out my badge, held it up just enough for them to see, and said, "You're both going to need to explain yourselves." To me, Sheriff's Department. The color drained from his face instantly. The clipboard woman blinked, took a step back, and muttered something about misunderstanding boundaries. But it was too late. The neighbors saw it. Phones were still recording. And now, the illusion of authority they'd been hiding behind was shattered in real time. I stepped out of my car, not aggressive, just firm. This isn't community patrol. This is impersonation and intimidation, and you've crossed a serious line. The guy started stammering, trying to say he was just helping the neighborhood. The woman suddenly wasn't so talkative anymore. She reached for her phone, probably trying to call someone higher up, or cover her tracks. That's when the twist came. One of the neighbors walked up and quietly said, "You're not the first person they've done this to. We've been collecting video for weeks. You're just the first one with a badge." That's when I realized this wasn't just one incident, it was the start of something much bigger. After hearing the neighbor out, I knew this wasn't just about one fake HOA cop or a single bad encounter. It was about a pattern of abuse that had gone unchecked for too long. I made a few calls right there on the spot, and within minutes, real deputies were on the scene. We gathered statements, collected video evidence from the neighbors, and documented everything. The fake cop was detained for impersonating an officer, and the HOA representative was questioned on the spot for harassment and overreach. Turns out, several residents had filed complaints before, but nothing ever came of them. Until now. This time, the story couldn't be brushed aside. There were too many witnesses, too much evidence, and the wrong person to mess with. I told the neighbors they'd done the right thing by speaking up, even if it took a while for someone to finally hear them. What started as a strange encounter turned into a wake-up call for the HOA, for the community, and maybe for anyone who thinks power is something you can fake your way into. Respect, authority, and trust have to be earned, and sometimes it takes one moment, one mistake, to bring the whole act crashing down.